Hello, and welcome to Carrier Formations for Dummies. It's your guide to doing carrier formations if you're a dummy when you first start out, of course. Alright, I've been looking at a few people, and people have questions, and I'm here to set the table, as per se. Obviously, carrier formations start at 32. So you're going to want to have your carrier port to access your new carrier formations. Is you want to do carrier group at the end right here. So carrier group. So you'll see a big list of what to do doodads, and I will explain to you. So you have your spearhead, sledgehammer, dagger, reverse bow, lance, rapier, which I like that word, longbow, and trident. Among other things, you'll see in the left-hand corner right here, SP is in for spearhead, SL, DA obviously, RA, RE. So that will determine what people's formations they are in. So when they're out in the ocean, you know what their form is. So it can give you a little edge too. Just for example, if someone's doing a lance, which lance is very popular, you have your summary, any ship 30%, and the escort carriers right here. We'll get to that pretty soon. So obviously, when people are doing the lance, me being the sneaky little frigate person, sneaking in with dagger, and wow, there's a destroyer. Yeah, they're destroying the sub. So obviously these two are gonna be 32 headquarters, and these three are gonna be 33, and these three are gonna be 35. So, and there is some differences with these also. So I'm gonna start with the spearhead. Spearhead, it gives you ship, and anti-air attack on aircraft carrier attacks, which is aircraft carrier attacks is basically PvP. So this wouldn't work in, like, say, Blitz, for example. I believe it's for just attacking other aircraft carriers, in my opinion. So escort carrier module applied. So what that means is now your blue modules, I believe they're called exclusive modules right here, they do apply. So for example, my best example would be Sledgehammer right here. So Sledgehammer is a very popular Armada strike group formation. Obviously, it's going to give you, among other things, anti-air attack by 50% more, which is pretty huge. SL, obviously the jet engine ship. Module supplied 3%. So module supplied for 3%. I'm going to do this right here. So I'm going to pick my main carrier. Obviously, main carrier is going to be a Nimitz 05. So Sledgehammer. When I said that the blue modules do work, the blue modules do work. So obviously, what do you think would be the best for, say, Armada strike group? Obviously, you're going to have the Enterprise, right? And then there's just kind of the stats it gives. So 3% toward the bonuses of the blue group, exclusive group. So when I look in here, carrier upgrade, module upgrades, these blues. So obviously the jet specialty attack by 9% for me. So you would take 3% of that, and it's gonna add to overall bonus. So obviously Armada strike group, cool. It's also gonna give you more jets too. If you're saying like a PvP situation, if you wanted to use SL, not a lot of people use actually SL. You could use Kusanov stuff, Russian carrier, whatever. You can see right here, it gives +5 ships. whereas the Enterprise +1. So this one is really good for PvP for a secondary. Some people may use the Elizabeth, but I feel like it doesn't really give you really good blue modules or exclusive modules. +2, so the +5 could be a pretty big difference. In PvP and even normal situations, I would honestly do Spearhead for the Russian carrier as a secondary. It just gives you more ships and everything else. So I don't necessarily run it a lot. So pretty much I believe that's pretty much all I'm going to cover for those two. Pretty self-explanatory. Dagger, reserve, bow, and lance. Pretty self-explanatory. A big difference too is you have 2 escort carriers instead of 1. So escort carriers modules applied 9% and 3%. So obviously your first one, which what that means is I'm going to do this Enterprise. So in the blue modules especially, it's going to matter which one comes first. A lot of people do the Elizabeth, maybe just because of Legendary, and then the Kusanov. But I mean, if you look at the blue modules for the Russian carrier, it's crit. I mean, I kind of like crit a little bit more, and I don't see a lot of people actually doing what I do. Most people do the Elizabeth and whatever, but I mean, it's there. I like to do this. So obviously DAs for Dagger. So coming back, one of the big differences, especially in the 33 category, is this submarine attack or destroyer or whatever. I'm just going to cover one because they all apply. So obviously with the modules upgrade, 9% of the blue modules, and you get the secondary 3%. So this submarine any ship attack is on anything. So which includes Blitz. So most of the time people doing Blitz, they'll probably be in Lance. Some people that I know are too lazy and still in Sledgehammer. So most people are going to be doing submarine any ship for Blitz because it works on anything. So it works PvE, PvP. So it's nice. It's nice passive meaning just always there. Submarine ship attack. So that works out very well. And obviously the same thing applies to here. This also adds to defense. I should mention that too, defense. Whereas the spearhead, you can see the ship, any ship, and whatever on aircraft carrier defense. This does not actually add to defense. It does do attack. So also keep in mind with that. So that's when a lot of times I end up being in these formations, especially Dagger for frigate. And this one, actually, it seems like, I don't know, I feel like they changed it, but so this one, obviously the 35 formations, frigate any ship attack on aircraft carrier attacks, which is really the same thing as the spearhead. So obviously, if I was doing Blitz, I would be going to the Lance if I was 35, but if I'm doing PvP, these are the modules, because you look at 15% and 5%, and obviously 3, it's obviously better. So I think I'm going to add one more thing too. So with the Nimitz, especially the Nimitz 5, and then some people are getting the forward carrier. A lot of people with the forward carrier are going to already know this anyway. And I have someone in my alliance that has a forward. What I would recommend doing if you have an escort carrier, I highly recommend, especially in PvP. I know forward is pretty flashy. So in PvP aspect, the Nimitz is actually better than the Ford at primary carrier, and the Ford does make for a good escort carrier, obviously. So the carrier Nimitz core modules play a huge part in that, whereas the Ford they don't get something like this until the level 5. So you're gonna be it's gonna take you a while. So obviously you're gonna be using the Nimitz for quite a bit. And the combinations, it's really up to you. But I've seen some interesting combinations like Spearhead, and then someone did Charles de Gaulle somewhere, which if you look at, I'm gonna go through here. So Charles de Gaulle blue is frigates, the storage. So obviously I would not recommend you using Charles de Gaulle for anything, because it just doesn't give you anything really. I mean, I use this to pretty much speed through battle pass. These 3 modules I speed through battle pass. People are like, oh, you do so good. So obviously boo modules, jet boba. And then here's the crit. I haven't worked a lot on the crit. Obviously, survival rate, actually, I should say this. I haven't worked too much on the crit. I've been mainly focusing on the durability. Queen Elizabeth. I haven't really paid too much attention to calculating the boo modules, obviously. I mean, your chances spur. You also have research. I mean, I've seen this play out. I mean, yeah, cool. You stop someone's attack, but and obviously you got the Nimitz. So obviously, if you have a Ford, or the Ford modules are very similar to the Nimitz, very similar, but with some differences. So with that in mind, the Ford does make for a decent escort carrier, especially when you get some of these blue modules up. Definitely better than either the Queen or the Russian carrier. I think a lot of people actually just use the Queen and Ford. If you have a if you have a Ford, a lot of people take away that whatever Russian carrier crit, but it's crit. Also, the crit works in Blitz. So that's pretty much it. I know this is kind of a video that it's kind of long, honestly. And if you have any questions, just drop your comments in the video. I can try to answer as much as I can. If I miss something, then I can go back, obviously, to it. And thank you.